Mr. Moulton for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary and Mr. Chairman, both of you set an example of service that should inspire every American across the globe, and it's an honor to have you here this morning. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, I'm grateful to hear that the Brandon Act, which would ensure service members have a way to request mental health assistance in an emergency, is going to be rolled out to active duty service members by mid-April. I'll be keeping close tabs on this rollout. It's taken over 15 months for the Department of Defense to simply implement this policy since we passed it into law. Over 500 service members have died by suicide during that delay. So I'm grateful it's happening now, but I know a lot of the families who lost a loved one want to know why it wasn't done sooner. Mr. Secretary, you've outlined the impressive investments we need to make in the coming year, but we can't make all of these critical investments if we don't divest of some things that aren't worth the cost to sustain them. What are some of the most important cuts you have made in this budget that you're concerned Congress will overrule for parochial political concerns?
Well, thanks, and let me thank you personally for what you did with the Brandon Act, and I know that you'll stay focused on it. And I want to assure you that the issue of suicide is enormously important to me, and I know it's important to the chairman as well. So we really appreciate what you've done there, and we'll continue to press. In terms of let me go back to your question again and make sure I got the full context of the question. So,
look, what are you worried? What cuts are you making in this budget that you're worried that parochial political concerns in Congress will overrule?
So you've heard us ask for relief on things like A-10s before. That I love that airplane, but and I know you love it too because you've been on the ground and these kinds of.
I think we should get rid of it. But what else besides A-10s?
LCSs, some of the earlier variants of LCS.
Would you be able to provide us a list of some of these cuts that you think are strategically important for us to make?
Right. Yeah, we will. I think it's folded into our budget there, but we will.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I want to pivot to talk about our investment in progress in hypersonic weapons for a second. Are hypersonic missiles stabilizing or destabilizing weapons?
They're potentially destabilizing, and the issue is, the development of an effective defensive mechanism to guard against. Having said that, as you know, the Russians have used hypersonic technology in Ukraine several times, and it hasn't guaranteed any type of victory. As a matter of fact, the Ukrainians are in a very good place right now and struggling to improve.
Well, look, Mr. Secretary, I agree with you that these are potentially destabilizing weapons. A lot of your senior commanders agree. General Van Herk said in a hearing a couple weeks ago that if you can't see hypersonics, it's hard to do continuity of government. It's certainly hard to protect your nuclear posture, and that, he felt, eroded our strategic stability because, of course, it's very different than in traditional intercontinental ballistic missiles where we see them coming, they know they're going to get the same response, and that mutually assured destruction ensures that that neither side starts a nuclear exchange. I will note that your STRATCOM commander argued that they were stabilizing as long as we get as many as the Russians and the Chinese. But of course, the Russians and Chinese are developing nuclear-capable hypersonic missiles. What is our deterrent against them?
Well, first of all, I am confident in our nuclear triad. It is the bedrock of our deterrent capability. In terms of hypersonics, we're interested in investing in the quantities that support our warfighting concept. So we need some hypersonic capability, but we also need a number of subsonic, highly survivable.
Mr. Secretary, I'm running out of time, but if I just may make the point that we're not even trying to match this capability that the Russians and Chinese have in nuclear tipped hypersonic missiles because our assured second strike, as the chairman laid out, with our traditional triad, is what deters their use. And yet it feels like we're in an arms race here trying to catch up with Russia and China for the worst reasons, because we're both rushing to get more of these hypersonics. They're fundamentally destabilizing. That makes the world less safe for all of us. And so I think it'd be helpful to hear not just a strategy to win this arms race, but a strategy to stop it. I'm sorry I've run out of time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.